I want you to tell us what initially excited you about remaking Africa.
Well, I mean, there was a number of things that excited me about Africa, mainly being I'm African. Uh, you know,
Same.
my father was he was a forward-thinking man. And he made sure that me, my brothers, my sisters, we were all born in the States. So we wouldn't have immigration problems coming back and forth. So whenever my mom was pregnant, he'll fly her in, we'll be born, then he'd ship us back. So I was in the States till I was about 12, then in Africa till I was about 12, and I came to the States. Went to school, and every summer we go back home, for vacation. Then school start, we come back to the States, and then after high school, I decided to stay in the States. But I realized after 18 years of going back and forth to my mom and grandparents and all, that neighborhood where we was raised, nothing really never changed in Africa. It was the same neighborhood, same villages, same lifestyle, same struggle, same everything. And I couldn't really understand because only the politicians actually had nice houses and drove in amazing cars and lived in areas where there was electricity, where the rest of the population, lived in areas where there were no clean water, there was no electricity. The civilization there was like really poor. And living in the US, I kind of got really spoiled. So when I go back to visit my grandmother, I'm trying to take a shower in hot water. And there's no faucet for that matter. And when I needed water, I would walk with my aunt to the well and we get the water. She put it on her head. I tried to carry it because my head and my neck was too weak. And that's another thing too, by the way. The women in Africa are so strong. I mean, they hold buckets this big of water and literally put it on their head with no hands and just walk like it's nothing. And I could barely pick up a bucket that was half the size. So I just realized there had to be a change, and coming back into Africa also started with that change. There was also a huge possibility. And wherever there's huge possibility, there's just huge advantages. So I looked at it from a standpoint of let me figure out a way that I can be a part of just developing the country, because I fast forward 15 years after that, I became, this huge artist, heavily popular, and met so many powerful people. So I said, let me utilize all these relationships and figure out who I can partner with, what things I can create, and how I can be an advancement to Africa. And I utilized those resources. And it became more of a philanthropy thing in the beginning, and then the philanthropy just became a for-profit business that just helped people. So I realized at that moment I wanted to get in a business that helped people. So I became more of a social entrepreneur. And that became my goal ever since, but I wanted money made to be made in Africa and utilize that money to rebuild Africa in that process.